Good afternoon, Alicia, and thank you so much for this opportunity. I am Wanda Thomas. I am the CEO and founder of Too Busy 2 Consulting and Management LLC. At Too Busy 2, we specialize in leveraging AI to enhance operational processes and promote innovative learning solutions. Our approach is very tailored to meet the specific needs of educational institutions, ensuring that technology adoption is seamless, impactful, and aligned with their specific goals. I've had over 2 decades of experience in project management, as well as process management, as well as in the educational realm as a master instructor in the financial services realm. As a master instructor, I developed and delivered comprehensive training programs across multiple financial services disciplines, emphasizing the practical use of technology and tooling. This experience, of course, has honed my ability to curate relevant content and facilitate dynamic learning environments for all adult learners. These skills are directly applicable to integrating AI into educational settings. AI in today's world is a must, and AI can only help learners across the spectrum of various styles of learning, from the standpoint of being a kinetic learner versus being an auditory learner versus being a visual learner. AI provides all avenues to support every type of learner.
How do you feel that AI can contribute to personalized learning experiences for students, maybe learning tailored to a specific student's needs? What do you think?
Alicia, that's a great question. It is my thought that when it comes to how can AI really be utilized to be catered to a specific type of learner, we have to think about the fact of, as I mentioned earlier, the multiple types of learners. As I mentioned, there are kinetic learners that do things with activity. They have to constantly be moving, or they want to interact a little bit more with whatever the subject matter is. We've got auditory learners that, interact based on hearing what's happening. And we have visual learners that, love to have PowerPoint slides as an example. They want to see something visual in that particular process of bringing in and keeping that content. So the way I look at it is with AI, it provides a multitude of different ways that we can really address each of those learners. As an example, that kinetic learner, I could really see how the use of a chatbot where that particular learner is engaging on a computer with really a technological person on the other end. They're actually doing a one-on-one scenario. They're having to actually key into the keyboard, ask particular questions, or they're even talking to that particular chatbot and getting answers back from that chatbot in regards to their learning. Maybe they have specific questions that they want to dig deeper into, and they got to move around during the time that they're doing that learning. Then in that particular situation, they could pause and come back to this particular tool to be able to use it. Of course, from the standpoint of visual learners, there's so many different ways. One of the things that I love about AI is the fact that it has a variety of ways to address all types of learners. As an example, as we mentioned with visual learners, a visual learner needs to really bring in that knowledge by seeing the information. They need to, for lack of a better way to say, see it like in a PowerPoint format. So one of the things like Gamma, as an example, helps you create interactive, or if you would, perfect visual type displays that can help that individual to take their time and really read the information, as well as that particular output could be given to that particular learner, so the learner could take it home and learn from it at that particular point as well. For the auditory learner, even that learner that may have a sight disability, and they need to be able to hear what's happening, then you could use things like HeyGen or even 11 Labs, where in those particular situations, it is very auditory. In 11 Labs, you could record a voice. Doesn't necessarily have to have any visual that goes along with it, but it is a voice recording where it is talking to the individual about what's happening. Again, I'll use a chatbot for that particular person as well for an auditory learner. That chatbot could be talking to that individual talking back to that chatbot as the chatbot asks them particular questions to make sure that they are understanding the content, as an example. So again, I think that AI can be very beneficial for all types of learners. And as we think about the multiple spectrum of learners and how we learn and how we bring in information, there are multiple tools, again, like HeyGen, like 11 Labs, like Gamma, that can help to address all three of those typical types of learners, along with other types of learners.
All right, let's talk about challenges. What are some of the main challenges you've observed in the integration of AI in the educational settings, and how do you feel that these challenges can be effectively addressed?
Alicia, another great question on the challenges of incorporating and integrating AI into the educational setting. I think that one of the main challenges that I've faced along the way is the same as it would be probably with almost any industry. And it is the fear of what I do not know. Of course, with AI from a consumer use standpoint, being so fresh, so new, there's a lot of misnomers at this particular point. So it's created a level of fear. People are fearful that it may replace them and the job that they currently do by using technology. However, as we know with AI has no emotion, no feeling. Students still need that. They need the emotional connection. They still need a personal touch in the learning process. What I think, if we're able to address the fear, help people to understand that it's not about replacing them, but really helping them to be better at what they currently do and how they do it, will be one of the ways to really help to integrate AI into education. Just like with any industry, when your leaders are not on board with the new item that's being brought to the table, then it doesn't trickle down appropriately. If we're able to get our teachers comfortable with the use of the multiple tools that are out there, or even for really, if we get them comfortable with using one tool, we'll start there. Then I think that will open the door for them to be able to explore using other tools. If we're also able to help them to realize how AI can help them to be better at what they do, help them to be more effective at what they do. Because as an example, as we know, with classroom sizes growing, one of the main challenges that I think we have in education is the ability for a teacher, an instructor, a facilitator to be able to literally touch each person in the room. And with AI, it helps to create a personable type scenario, or create learning at the level that the individual's on and give them immediate response. But I also think that from a teacher standpoint, as we think about preparatory processes and getting ready to facilitate that particular content, it can take a lot of time, a lot of dedicated focus in getting ready to facilitate. And if we are able to teach our instructors, our facilitators, our teachers, the appropriate way to utilize this new technology, these AI tools, where it could be extremely beneficial for them and help them to be more productive, cut their day in half as an example, then I think that we will have less of a gatekeeper mentality. They'll be more acceptable to the actual use of AI and to integrate it into their day-to-day. Again, I think one of the main things is to start with not to overwhelm them. Maybe start with one tool, help them to learn that one tool and help them to see how it benefits them by the utilization of that one tool, that will then help them to think more broadly and be open to utilizing other tools. Even if we teach them how to use the one tool and then help them to kind of see how it would interact with another tool. Again, not overwhelming them with a new technology. I think that would be really a big plus in helping to alleviate that barrier of entry. But I think, again, it's really a lot about the leadership, a lot about getting the leadership and, again, those teachers on board, because once we do that, I think it will very easily trickle down to our youth, because our youth are always willing to kind of jump on the newest thing when it's technology related and see how it works for them, especially if we could put it on a phone. Again, thinking about accessibility, one of the great things about AI is it's so accessible. And by having it accessible in the format of everything they touch, that cell phone as an example, on their laptop, etc., will kind of help to avoid the barriers of entry, because they'll be more willing to utilize it, because it'll be right at just in time learning, if you would.
Teacher training. Let's talk about this topic. What type of training do you feel that teachers and educators really need in order to effectively use AI tools in their teaching, in their classroom? And how can the whole educational institution that they're working within support this type of training for teachers?
So, Alicia, another great question as far as getting our teachers, instructors, facilitators trained on AI. What do they need? What type of training do they need to be effective at it? And really, how can they be supported? And I think that it's, again, very much like any industry, anything that we do in education or in any other industry, as a human being, it's all about really those W's and the how. So it's like, what is it? Number one, again, as I mentioned previously, we have this fear of AI, because a lot of people don't understand what is it. Okay, so I think one of the ways that we do that is to create a structured training program for our instructors to, number one, make it clear, what is it? It's not something that's coming to replace them. It is a tool to enhance them and enhance their ability to do their job more effectively. It is a tool that will save them time and give them more time to even be with their families, as an example, by utilizing these tools, that things that would normally take them an hour or two to do, they can get it done literally in seconds and minutes. So I think the what is a very important piece. So structured from a what standpoint. Also a why standpoint. As human beings, we always want to know why. Why am I doing this? Why is this coming my way? Why is this happening? I think that's an important piece, is that we talk about the why. The why is AI important. Why would I want to use it? As I mentioned, it's going to save you time. It's going to help you to be more productive. It's going to expand your cognitive awareness of what's happening. It's going to help you to be in more places at once. As we mentioned previously, it's close to impossible to touch every child in the classroom. And by utilizing AI, in a lot of cases, that student can get immediate answer, immediate reaction, where that teacher may not be able to accommodate that when they're dealing with 30 plus students at a given time. So helping them to understand the why of the situation, helping them to understand also, how it can benefit them and how it can benefit their students. Again, I think by answering those particular questions will help. I think that there does need to be structure around the training, as well as from the support standpoint. How will they utilize it, and when will they utilize it? I think we do need to have some parameters around that, because, again, as I mentioned previously, learners still need a personal touch. They still want affirmation and confirmation that things are correct, and that it's been done the way that the human being, the individual, the instructor, the teacher would like it to be done. So those things are still important. So I think we do need to have some guardrails around the when. When do you use AI? When is the most effective time to use AI? And maybe also in the when do you use it for what student? When do you use it in what course? when do you use it that would make sense to increase that student's learning capability? Is it good for auditory learner? Is it good for a kinetic learner? Is it good for a visual learner? So what tool needs to be used as we think about the what again? What tool would be best utilized to be able to support what is needed as well for the content? So I think, again, that's how we would be able to train the teachers to make sure that all of those W's and that H is being answered for them, because ultimately I think we have a fear of what we don't know, and by answering those questions, it's just human nature to help us to feel better about it. I also think that a hands-on approach is always very beneficial. We can talk all day long about a new item, a new pair of shoes as an example, but until you've tried them on, until you've tried it, a lot of times you still feel unsure about it. And so I think that the format of the training needs to be a hands-on approach. It needs to be a scenario where the instructor, the teacher, the facilitator is in an environment where they're able to actually get a hands-on scenario where they're away from distractions, where a AI consultant, a certified AI consultant could really show them.
Let's talk about inclusion and accessibility. How can AI be used to improve inclusion and accessibility in education for students with disabilities or those that require special learning accommodations?
So, Alicia, how can AI support the learning disabilities that some of our students may have, and help to support the various learning styles is a great question. I've been so adamant about the fact that we have to really think about how people learn. As I mentioned several times, your kinetic learner, your auditory learner, your visual learner. We have a tendency to learn in different ways. It could be one or the other, or it could be a mixture of those, as an example. And, for myself as an example, I'm very much a visual and auditory learner. I need to see it, I need to hear it, but I'm also a little bit kinetic learner because I need to, kind of do it at the same time. So a little bit of all three, but not everybody falls in that category. But also from the standpoint of disability, AI can be a big advantage to help. As an example, today in our current world, let's think about the visually impaired learner, that individual that can't really, maybe they're legally blind, and they need to be able to hear what's happening. There are so many new tools. For instance, there's one, if I remember correctly, Be My Eyes, AI Be My Eyes, I think that's correct, where it allows an individual that's legally blind to literally take pictures with their phone, as an example. It also could help with someone that is visually impaired by doing a visual analysis. So as an example, you can literally take a picture and upload it, as an example, to Midjourney, and Midjourney will rewrite out a prompt, if you would, on what that picture really is signifying, what's in this picture. And a add-on tool, a browser extension, could auditorily tell that individual exactly what has just been uploaded. There's also text-to-speech, speech-to-text tools that are out there that can be of benefit for the individual as well. As we talk about text to image, as an example, maybe the person doesn't speak, and maybe they can't hear, but they recognize images. Then they could type in information. As an example, we'll use Canva as an example. They can give text into Canva and it will generate a picture of what that person is trying to reflect. So there's so many different ways that could be a benefit. Again, ChatGPT, Midjourney, those are two that I use on a regular basis where that would be very beneficial for the individual that may not have the auditory skills, but can see, as well as in the reverse standpoint, think about ChatGPT and the browser add-on where you can actually talk to it. That individual could talk to ChatGPT as an example, and it would give them an output and read it back to them for that person that needs to hear it, but can't necessarily see what's going on. Also, they can speak to it using that same tool, and it will generate whatever they're asking for from a visual standpoint. So there's a lot of different tools that are out there that can be beneficial across the board. But I think more importantly, as I've talked about Auditory, Kinetic, and visual learners, the multitude of AI tools that are out there can really address all of the above. Again, I'll go back to chatbots from earlier. That to me is a very kinetic type of tool that the individual can either talk to, can actually type on the keyboard, can be interactive with it. They can almost talk to one another and ask questions and interact, have a conversation on a one-on-one basis. For those children that may be introverts, as we know in some classrooms, we have those that are always hands raised for whatever's going on. And even though that person's in the back quiet, they may know the answer, but they don't get a chance to really bring it forth. By using AI would give them the ability to maybe for the teacher, have a module of some sort where the individuals are able to input an answer into the system. That way it's very clear to the teacher that everyone is engaging. And even if the teacher's not able to utilize it during class, maybe they can at least go back afterwards and identify that, okay, everyone did answer the question, everyone was engaged in the overall classroom. So again, multitude of ways that we can really cater to that learner, which I think is very important because we all do learn very differently.
Bye. It was so great connecting with you. Thanks for joining us. Bye again.
Bye, Alicia. Thank you so much again. It was great seeing you. All right. Bye-bye.